Food. Do you know where yours comes from? What went into your food and who is affected by your purchase? What does organic mean to society and what does it mean to you? You don't just buy an organic carrot or eat an all-natural potato. Your food has a history and a future. People have been thinking about these questions for centuries, but not without encountering tensions between their role in the food economy and their ideals. The city of Rochester, New York offers a valuable case for the study of the alternative food movement in the United States. By talking to the people involved with this movement, one can understand the motivations and social structures that make it possible, and the political and moral beliefs that help it to endure over the decades.
My understanding of the food co-op movement from the late 60s and early 70s was that what we think of now as sustainability didn't even exist.
Oh, okay.
Like, I didn't even know when the term organic was invented, but the people here who started the food co-op, it grew out of really the whole general counterculture and the anti-war movement.
Towards the end of the Vietnam War, Rochester saw the creation of cooperative living and community farming and the introduction of sustainable food issues. The 60s hippie counterculture and anti-war movement called these activists to return to more egalitarian economic models outside of the dominant system of the time. The Genesee Co-op Natural Food Store, now Abundance Cooperative, was one of these first alternative models, complete with its own economic base in the form of a cooperative credit union.
So there was a natural, or it seemed like there was a natural link between the society that produced the Vietnam War and the society that was feeding us. In addition to whatever political objections they might have to supermarkets and so on, they didn't have any money. And so they decided to form a store where they could get cheap food. And I don't know if you've looked at what food co-ops were like in the 70s, but a lot of bulk packaging for many years was anathema. And so people bought rice and beans and fresh vegetables when they could get them. And the idea was how to feed yourself if you weren't participating in the larger economy.
But then we had the famous close down of where the profits and the not-for-profit parts of the co-op had their big struggle, and they locked out the managers of the food store, and literally they came in and they were locked out, likewise. And there will be people in your progressive movement that you might interview that think that was a black and white, but it wasn't. There was very good people on both sides. There were problems on both sides, problems with accounting and so on and so forth. So, but out of that did come out of the Phoenix flames again came the Abundance Co-op.
Human beings work best when we're interacting with each other as human beings rather than interfacing with a larger faceless corporate structure, I guess you'd say. And so that even though our lives are dominated in so many ways by corporate entities, it seems important to at least keep that alive.
One restaurant in Rochester that attempts to keep these relationships alive by cooking in the slow food method and sourcing from local farmers is Lento in the Village Gate.
You talk to the farmers, you know right where your food's coming from. You're not just looking at some label and being like, oh, it's organic, it's good, and throwing it in your cart, when in fact, at this point, a lot of that organic stuff is no different than the conventionally raised produce. When I buy my beef, I buy it from farmers who predominantly feed their cows grass, they supplement with some green, but no artificial growth hormones, no animal byproducts, which makes cows grow fast, but it makes unhealthy beef. It's terrible for the environment, beef is just one example. Everything on our menu I try and get from farmers who are committed to raising their produce or their animals through the slow food method, from salad greens to cows.
Seven Bridges Farm provides meat for Lento. Located in Lima, a suburb outside of Rochester, it has been producing all-natural meat since 1942. But what is all-natural?
And we actually have to have like the labels that are meat approved from the USDA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I had to go through, and they want to know who we are, where we live, why do we think we're all natural, and some of the terminology people get caught up with. Something might say in a label that it's finished hormone free. People are like, woohoo! No. But they're making it really difficult for people to do a good thing sometimes. So we'll never be certified organic. I don't want to be certified organic. I'm not going to take 1942 of what they've been doing. They don't really need somebody to tell them what to do. We use good old cow manure around here. There's some of the things that probably wouldn't be fitting to certified organic. You know, you go to an organic, like if you would have said that everybody had to be organic and all cows had to eat nothing but grass, we would starve eventually. You can't do that.
Recently, Wegmans also approached Burrita at Seven Bridges to source her local all-natural beef. But Wegmans' competitive reasoning clashed with the Seven Bridges family ideology.
Why would Danny Wegmans want to do business with us? Every label we have says www.sevenbridgesfarm.com. And he's going to charge a lot more than what we do. And then they're going to look online and buy it from us. They didn't even care. He goes, he won't care about that. He just wants to be the only person doing it. That wasn't a good answer for us. Not, he wants to be the only one and the first one doing it. How about, God, I've been looking for somebody to do this for a really long time. We want to give this to our customers. And he just had the wrong answer. So we don't want to sit back and once a month collect this big fat check from Wegmans and not know anybody that's eating our meat or anybody that enjoys our meat or appreciates what we're doing. So I hope it keeps moving. I don't want it to keep moving because people are scared. I think it will get kind of scary. I think that, you worry about where your food comes from. You should worry about where your food comes from.
Education programs, like Rochester Roots Community Gardens, provide opportunities to supplement the food system and raise people's awareness of health and justice issues and give them access to affordable and healthy food.
There is something to be said about a carrot that I grow and that Rochester Roots grows and that the kids grow versus a carrot you're going to buy at the supermarket. And even our organic versus the supermarket's organic is drastically different in taste, in mouth-watering ability. I mean, I'll pull a carrot right out of the ground, wipe it off on my shirt, and eat it. And it tastes awesome. Awareness is key. A lot of people think, well, I'm Joe Schmo, what can I do? Even if there's just a little bit of interest, they can jump right on the bandwagon because it's passing the towns right now.
There's going to be different niches within alternative foods no matter how you look at it. Like there's going to be people who will make their priorities to buy organic or just to be able to know the farmers, and then there's people who are going to just try to buy local foods occasionally or sometimes or occasionally go out to a restaurant, and then there's people who don't have money that are just trying to buy healthy food, and I think it's all important at its different levels just to continually build awareness about where you're getting your food.
Yeah, I think it really is going to revolve around this paradigm shift to we have to think differently about what we're doing and become more conscious, and it's going to start with a really small group of people who are thinking differently about it, and then that's growing, and it is growing. We can see that with the markets, and that Wegmans is involved in this, and I think that it seems at least at this point that it's only going to keep growing, and we've just really we're at the start of it, or at some continued start of it.
The idea of participation has changed since the 1970s. New political ideas and cultural pressures are affecting food consumption. Yet the tensions implicit in the food system remain. Economic feasibility seems to run counter to the philosophical ideals leading the movement. Now young people are becoming increasingly conscious of the food system, the consequences, and the meanings behind them. This network of people committed to social and economic justice translate their values into food and the processes that surround its production to work towards a better future. The Rochester Alternative Food Network, comprised of individuals making informed decisions, will most likely continue in its commitment to developing a local sustainable economy and community around food.